From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our weekly inbox segment, Barry. Questions from email, we answer them here on video. Let's get right to it. Let's start with this one from Kevin. Bob Stoops called out the crowd? Bob didn't say anything. You asked the question and Bob did not call out the crowd. You were putting words in his mouth. Barry, Kevin is calling you out in this one.
Well, I appreciate the shout out, Kevin, but you're wrong. Not only did I not ask the question, no one asked the question. Bob Stoops brought up the crowd unsolicited, which is a huge, huge sign. It shows you that Bob thinks this is a big game, which it is, and Bob thinks the crowd could really help, which it can. So this was a Bob Stoops production here. Sometimes we do bring stuff up. Sometimes we do try to stoke the fire. Not this time. Bob Stoops is the one that's concerned about the crowd.
Brought it up in his opening statement in his press conference on Monday, and he was talking in general about this matchup against K-State, and then towards the tail end, he brought up the crowd. Now, he was asked about it a little bit further once the press conference got going, so he did say some more about it. That's when he talked about the fact that he was still a little bit sore from calling out the crowd a couple years ago against Texas Tech, but he did bring it up initially, and I do think the crowd could play into this one, Barry. They could be a big factor on Saturday.
Oh yeah, I mean, if they can play, if the crowd can get like it did for that Texas Tech game, which I don't know if it can reach that level, but That's a huge, huge advantage.
All right, back to the inbox. This one from Burrell, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but Burrell says, are the Sooners for real this year? A good question, Barry. Are they?
It's a great question. I don't have an answer.
I don't either.
I don't have an answer. When they start playing more games, we'll know.
Yep.
OU has played one game this year. I don't count Florida A&M. You don't count exhibition games. You don't count automatic victories. The game at El Paso, very enlightening. Sooners struggled. Sooners did not play well. On the other hand, kudos to OU for going on the road and playing a team that that could give you some trouble that doesn't have a big name. So I think we don't know hardly anything about this Oklahoma team yet. We're going to start finding stuff out Saturday night.
I think they've got the potential to be an elite team. I wrote about this after the Florida A&M game and blogged about it afterwards as well because people had a lot of different opinions on this question. I think they've got the talent and the potential to be a for real team this year. They're not playing that way yet, though, Barry. They didn't play great at UTEP. They did win that game, but 177 yards for Nathan Jeffrey, obviously the running back for UTEP, doesn't bode well for the OU defense. And then an offense that was just okay, and then had their struggles then on both sides of the ball against Florida A&M. We'll see on Saturday if they're for real against K-State, that's for sure. All right, back to the inbox. This one from Frank. Frank says maybe another level of incentive could be promoted by allowing the Edmond Norths to play only 19 players against the U.S. grants. This obviously in reaction to your column and the proposal that we wrote about over the weekend that Oklahoma City schools, Tulsa schools are looking at a way to maybe level the playing field with schools that have been historically bad. What do you think about this, Barry?
Well, I mean, Frank's at least thinking outside the box, which I like, but you can't limit the opponents you're playing. It's not Edmond North's fault that
U.S.
adults
grant only has 19.
And the U.S. grant's in their class. I mean, it's Edmond North's. It's not their problem that adults haven't been paying attention. So you can't do that. But it does show you that you got to think in terms of different things. And what is clear to me in this whole evolution of Oklahoma City and Tulsa and some other schools as well that are just physically outmatched is that people have not been taking this seriously. And I'm talking about administrators, both at the school level, the district level, and at the state association level. It's time they took it seriously.
Well, and it's a real safety concern. When you talk about schools like a Jinx or a Union playing, some schools that only have a couple dozen kids and they really haven't started playing until the season starts, it's a safety issue, Barry. We know how much concerns of safety have come up in football in recent years. We talk a lot about it at the professional and the college level, but let's be honest, there can be some real mismatches at the high school level, and that's a big safety concern. I think they may need to co-op. Maybe that's the out of the box thinking. Co-op some of these schools that don't have great football and see if that doesn't help a little bit. How about back to the inbox for a last question from Tim. Tim says, what do you think of Todd Monken? I think he's the most versatile of all the play callers that Oklahoma State has had. I'm more confident in him than any of the last three, and that's saying a lot.
I love what I've seen out of Todd Monken out of 1 year and 3 games. I think he's done a fantastic job. I can't put him over Dana Holgorsen yet, though. I mean, Holgorsen came in, changed an offense on the fly. took a new quarterback and a new offense and set records, and went to West Virginia, and the remnants of that team and that offense and that quarterback won the Big 12 title. So I love Monken to death. I think he's got a great future, but I can't put him ahead of Dana Holgorsen yet.
I'll tell you what, Todd Monken could take a big step with what happens against Texas in another week, because obviously they're going to be playing without Wes Lunt, a guy who was brought in to play the style, that air raid offense that Todd Monken has continued after Dana Holgorsen left. Now they've got J.W. Walsh, who can pass it a little bit, but not in the style of Wes Lunt. So obviously the offense is going to have to be tweaked and play to J.W. Walsh's strengths. How much can Todd Monken do with this off week and that week heading into Texas? That could say a lot about his legacy. Can they get an offense that's ready to go out there and compete with Texas? We'll see here in a week. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.